Hello everyone, welcome to the top lessons. So, today we are going to talk about a very important topic which is recording knowledge and sharing the knowledge. So, let us first talk about recording the knowledge. So, what is knowledge? Knowledge is a form of information about any subject, and that information is transferred to someone. That knowledge can be anything like understanding of any subject, any information about any subject. So, that knowledge is very important in our life because our life depends upon the information which is around us. We have so many things around us and information about variety of subjects around us. Subject means it can be anything. Okay, not just the books, it can be anything about playing, about riding the bicycles, about driving the car, anything, any type of work which we do, we need the information about it. So, the knowledge is very important in our lives. So, this knowledge is actually transferred from one person to another person or from one person to so many people all together. For example, I am teaching you, so I am sharing the knowledge, whatever I am having, and I am sharing that knowledge with you. So, by what ways knowledge can be transferred or exchanged with someone? Either by speaking, that means orally, if we are sharing the knowledge. Another way is writing the information, and that written part is referred by someone. So, there are two ways through which we can exchange the knowledge. So let us talk about the recording of knowledge and why it is important, because orally exchanged information can be lost with the years. Like with the years, that means with the time you can forget anything. Suppose I have told you something about any topic. With the time, if you are not recalling it and if it is not written with you, then there are chances that you will be forgetting it. So recording of knowledge is very important. Sharing or exchanging the information about anything orally is not sufficient. That is the reason you have the books, and you also write in your notebooks. Otherwise, we would only have the class and we will only talk in the class, and that does not have great chances of remembrance. That means the knowledge can be lost with the time if you do not write it or if you do not record it. So writing or printing or typing, any way through which we can record the knowledge, so that we can say that we are kind of recording the information. So let us talk about the initial times, how people recorded the knowledge, whatever they knew about their surroundings, how they conveyed that information with their friends or with the upcoming generations. So, we will talk about the earliest forms of written communication. First thing humans started doing was making the pictures, or they started making the paintings. Initially, people did not have any house, people used did not have any houses, so that is why they used to live in the caves. So whenever they were having free times, they used to draw something, whatever they saw, whether if they knew how to kill an animal, then that also they recorded in the form of pictures. So they made paintings, they made paintings on the walls, whatever was available with them, so they used it and created paintings. This is one picture you can see. It is a cave painting example, and it is present in Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka is a place in MP, Madhya Pradesh. So here you can see they have used some red color, red natural color, and they have created paintings. Similarly, we have another picture here. Whatever they saw, the animals, they created pictures of them. So that is how the first means they used uh, to exchange the knowledge or information, whatever they had. They started drawing or making the pictures. They started making the paintings. After that, once they learned to speak, once they created words and then the languages, so with the time they started using the symbols and signs, whatever they were able to create, they started creating on some surfaces. Like here you can see the picture, they have created these symbols or signs on clay tablets. These are the flat surfaces made of clay. So they created symbols and signs, and using these symbols and signs, they were sharing the information. And then once they learnt about words and languages, they created scripts. Script is anything which is the basic part of any language. That means the main part through which languages are created. Symbols, whatever they were using, and by using those symbols, they created scripts. We will talk about these scripts again, so don't worry about it. So as of now, you just understand that script is any way, any system where they used symbols and signs, and using that symbols, those symbols and signs, they communicated. We have already talked about communication, so you can understand that scripts were helping them in communication. So here also you can see the picture. There they have created different shapes of animals, and along with that they also created some letters. Okay, different types of letters from different scripts. Almost every language has some script. So that is how every symbol or every sign have some meanings. This is another picture. You can see various symbols or signs have been created, and these are actually part of a script. So script is the collection of symbols and signs which actually talk about something, which gives some information. So when they were creating these symbols and signs, with the time they came up with alphabets. So like whatever alphabets now we also study in Hindi also, as well as in English, these alphabets are actually in like discovered or created by the people with the time. Whatever their understanding, based on that understanding, they created different symbols or alphabets, and these alphabets had some meanings. Now also we have so many languages, so many scripts. So in every script there are some specific symbols which represent some specific meaning. Okay, along with the alphabets they also created some numbers, like these 1 0 1 2 3 4 up to 9. This is the very common number system which we use. Along with that we also had this Roman, where we use this I, double I, triple I, IV. So these are just showing the third line I'm talking about. These are just showing the numbers, and this system is called Roman number system. So our main concern here is talking about various types of alphabets and numbers. So with the time they uh, created these numbers and alphabets. So initially they created painting, then instead of paintings they created some symbols or signs. They were using the pictures also, and then with the time they made the collection of all the symbols and signs they used, and they created a script. They created the script, and that script actually became a basic base for any language. And in any language we have the script, and in that script we have various alphabets and letters. So this is the flow. You can see pictures, and then signs and symbols, and then they got converted into scripts. In scripts we had alphabets and numbers also, and that is how we reach to the language. Now also we are speaking any language. For example, English, we have alphabets in English, A to Z. Okay, small letter, capital letters. So these are the various symbols which were created by the people, and they were having some specific meanings. So what is a script? Script is a system where signs and symbols are used. So that is a collection of signs and symbols. In scripts we can have some pictorial symbols as well. Earlier, when people were making paintings, then they moved to the symbols. There they were using the pictures of animals, and that particular animal had some meaning. So that is how scripts also had some pictorial symbols, as well as they had some alphabets. So the signs and symbols are given some sound. So whenever we are speaking, we are kind of making some sound. That particular sound is related to alphabets or letters. So that is how we are able to create the words. Using this sound we are able to create words, and those words are being used in any language. So script is the base for any language. Now we will talk about various examples where we had these alphabets and numbers. As I talked about these Roman alphabets, we have this 26 letters, A to Z, and also these are capital. Along with that, we have small letters as well. And the oldest Indian script which was present, it is called as Indus Valley script. And in this Indus Valley script, they were using the pictures. Similarly, we have another example, Brahmi script, Devanagari script. Our Hindi, your subject Hindi, is totally based on this Devanagari script. Whatever you see, the symbols like anar wala, aam wala, and all those things, that is actually part of Devanagari script. So when this Devanagari script was created, those symbols were used, and they were given some particular sound for that. For example, if imli wale ko हमने क्या बोला, E, we created sound like E. So suppose we were saying any word like gadi, so g, a ki matra, d, e. So we were using small sounds, and combining them we are making some word. So that is how we were able to create some words. We also talked about these Roman numbers, double I, triple I, and all. So that is a way of representing numbers. Like you have used these numbers already, I guess. Suppose you are in class 5, so which symbol is used for that? V. And for fourth, I, V. Okay, so that is how these are the numbers used in Roman number system. Similarly, we have this Hindu Arabic system 0 to 9, and using this 0 to 9 we have created so many numbers like 1000 is made of 1 and 3 times 0. Okay, similarly other examples also you can take. So these Hindu Arabic numbers were created 2000 years ago, and 0 was also invented in India. Okay, so this is some information you can have. So I hope you understand that how people started creating signs and symbols. Whatever they draw, they kept on drawing the same thing again and again, and then they gave some sound to it. That sound was used, various sounds were used to create words, and those words became the part of any language. So that is how we reached up to a language. So this is the picture showing that alphabets. Okay. Now we will talk about the invention of paper. Why paper is important? As I told you, knowledge is important part of our lives. So whenever we are recording some knowledge, earlier people were drawing on the walls, stones, rocks. But when the paper was invented, people started creating signs or symbols or making words. They started writing on paper. So that is how this invention of paper is very important. So Egypt is a country in Africa. So ancient Egyptians, that means the old people from very like early people from Egypt, they used plants. They used plants, and you are aware what is a stem, the main part of the plant. They used the plant stem, which was called as papyrus. They used that papyrus to make papers, and this was created, the papers were created by this method about 4000 years ago. So you can imagine that long ago people started making the papers, and in China also whatever the modern type of paper which we see and which we use for writing, that was created in China about 1900 years ago. So what they did, they used the bark of a tree, that means the layers of stem, and they made the pulp, that means the paste like thing out of it, and that pulp was used to make the paper sheets. Now also we have so many paper sheets coming in our notebooks, so that is how we are reaching to it. And then whatever the pulp they used to make paper sheets, the paper pulp was containing water, right? So those paper sheets were left for drying. So once the paper was dried, after that it was used for writing. So that is how the papers are now also, they are created by this method. So this is a general way of creating papers. So here we will see how the papers are created. Okay, this picture you see, in this picture we have three type of material which we can use for making papers. First one is cloth rag, that means any like kapda type of thing जिसके अंदर cotton or any cellulose fiber is there. Okay, some kind of you can say that something like cotton. Okay, cotton you have seen, so something like cotton that can be also used for making पेपर्स. जो हमारे नोट होते हैं, नोट्स, द करेंसीज, 100 रुपए का नोट, 500 रुपए का नोट, इन दैट ऑल्सो वी हैव सम अमाउंट ऑफ कॉटन. ओके, दैट इज हाउ, जब वो गीले भी हो जाते हैं तो इतनी आसानी से नहीं फटते हैं. ओके, एंड सेकेंड थिंग वी कैन यूज प्लांट्स. Earlier people used stems of the plant. Now these leaves also can be used. Okay, their skin of the stems also can be used. So wherever some kind of fibers, the रेशे type की चीजें जहाँ पे भी हो ना, that can be used. And along with that, the old papers, whatever papers which we have used, that can also be used to make the pulp. So pulp is nothing but a paste like thing. ओके, लाइक पेस्ट के अंदर क्या होता है, जैसे आप घर में मिक्सर के अंदर कुछ पीसते हो. ओके, सो दैट पेस्ट लाइक थिंग इज कॉल्ड पल्प. ओके, सो दैट पल्प वाज created by using these three type of things, and then this pulp was completely mixed up, so that everything get mixed up, and when we use this pulp to make the sheets. Okay, and how did they make the pulp? They use three methods: this Hollander beater, hand mallet, kitchen blender, which you have seen in your house also. So this is just for understanding that using various things they created pulp, that means the paste like thing they created, and after that they spreaded the paste and they pressed it to reduce its thickness, and then they left for drying, sorry, that means उनको सुखाने के लिए रख दिया. I hope you have like seen how the पापड़ जो होते हैं, मक्का के पापड़ घर में बनाते हैं लोग, कुछ दूसरे मूंग के पापड़ बनाते हैं, तो उसमें भी क्या करते हैं, पूरा एक पेस्ट लाइक थिंग दे क्रिएट. Okay, that you can understand as pulp, and then they press it, and by pressing it we get the reduced size, very thin papad we get, and they are left for drying. So that is how papers were also created. So this is the general idea of creating papers. Okay, so when they are left for drying, that means the whatever the water was present in the pulp, that gets out of it, and we get the dried sheet of paper. Okay, so this is a general method through which we can make the paper. So as I was telling you why this paper was important, making the paper, that is how we made the paper. Okay, now also we are making, nowadays we are making using so many machines, but the main flow is like that only. Okay, we are making pulp, then we are spreading and giving the shape of very thin papers. So earlier people were using people were sharing the knowledge verbally, orally. Then they started creating drawings and all the paintings and all. But when the paper was created, it was easy to write on paper. So that is how the paper became very important part. So many so much of information was written on the papers. Okay, so that is why paper is very important. So we have talked about script. As I was telling you, script is a basic thing for any language. Using that script, we create so many words, and those words are used for any language. So we have a special type of script here. It is called Braille script. You might have heard about it. Braille script is used for uh, you know used by the blind people or the people with uh, some kind of problem in their eyesight. That means they cannot see directly. So visually challenged people use this script. And how they use it, this picture you can see. In this picture you can see some dots are created. Okay, so these dots are created in some kind of pattern. Okay, so but whenever these blind people or visually challenged people touch these dots, they get the feeling and they understand. They get the understanding what is written, they get it. So that is how they are also able to read. How we read, we being the normal people, how we read, we simply see, but they cannot see, so they use the touch. They touch the dots in created in some specific pattern, and they get the meaning of those words written with the help of these dots. So that is how they learn, and they are also able to read. So that is why we can say this Braille script is very important for these type of people. Okay, because education is very important for everyone. We are able to see the words and whatever is written, but visually challenged people are not able to see. So that is how this Braille script is very important and revolutionary thing for visually challenged people. So in this class, we will talk about this much only. What we have talked about, we talked about in knowledge. Knowledge is an information about anything, and like whatever we are learning, we are writing it. For example, in your class also, whatever you are learning, you are writing, you are making notes, you are writing question answers. So that is how you are learning and writing it. That means you are getting the knowledge and recording it. Okay, recording means writing or typing or anything. Like we are making kind of record of something. So that is how we are learning, or we are having the knowledge, we are recording it. And why this recording is important? Because these orally said things are cannot last for a long time. That means हम भूल सकते हैं, with the time we can forget it. So that is why if something is written with us, then we can read it again and again whenever we require it. That is why it is very important. Okay, and how people started making various signs and symbols also, and with the time they gave the specific meanings to those signs and symbols, and then they made the collection of various signs and symbols, and they also started giving them the sound. That is how they made the word, and with the time those words were used to create languages. So that language, like whatever language we are speaking, that is also coming from that part only. So languages were created. Script we have talked about. So that script is a very important part of language, the basic part. Similarly, we have talked about this Braille script. Okay, and we also talked about paper, the importance of paper. As you are aware now, paper is very important, because if you do not get any notebook, then you are not able to write it. Okay, so paper is very important part of our life. Whatever we learn, we write on it, so that we can see or read whenever we want. Okay, we have the books written on the papers. Okay, so paper is also very important part of our life. So this is it about this lecture. I hope you understood, and thank you so much for watching. We will talk about the other topics in our next